Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday. Welcome back to the channel. I wasn't going to come on and post this video today because I do have a collective reading coming out tomorrow, but I was just sitting with this supercharged, super powerful energy this morning while I was meditating. And I'm really feeling like somebody needs to hear this message while it's fresh. I'm feeling like someone needs this confirmation that they're on the right path in their journey. Because if you are connecting with this video, you are someone who is approaching what my guides are calling equivalent to a sound barrier, except they were referring to it as a fear barrier. Now, I say you're approaching this, but I actually feel as though you're really in the midst of this. So when I say that you're approaching this metaphoric sound barrier, well, I actually kind of dove into this concept and to this energy, and I was getting chills at how connected this is to what's happening right now in someone's life that needs to hear this. So many of you probably know what a sound barrier is, but I feel sharing this definition actually connects it to this concept of the fear barrier and what you might be experiencing right now in your personal life. So for the sake of really connecting those two concepts, I want to share this definition that really struck a chord with me. And it is, the sound barrier is the point at which an object moves from subsonic to supersonic speed. It reaches or exceeds the sound of air. When an object approaches the speed of sound, it encounters increased resistance and compression waves, which can cause turbulence and drag. And this just really struck me because I feel that for the person listening, you're in the middle of that resistance, whether that's coming from you internally or whether it's external. I'm getting this sense of your emotions being very two-sided right now. On the one hand, there is this deep, intuitive feeling that if you can just push through these fears, my guides were also calling this holding a line. And I'm going to get in that kind of later on, get in that energy a bit more deeply, but you're holding a line here. You're pushing forward and pushing through something. And it's bringing up both extremes of emotions within you. At times, there is this resistance. There is this fear. There may be self-doubts surfacing, which sometimes can be your own, but as we've been channeling recently on the channel, can also sometimes be projections of fear from other people. But in either case, there is this resistance coming up, equivalent to the resistance that an object would experience when it approaches this new, well, to compare it here, we could call it a new way of being, a new way of existing. Now, to parallel it to your life, pushing past this resistance allows you to reach this new level of freedom and possibility. And that's what your soul has been telling you. But there was an exact quote that came through here that I want to read as well, because I feel this will be a key that unlocks a powerful new door for someone. And this is, it feels like you're hitting an invisible wall. Again, this sound barrier, this fear barrier. But once you break through, the flight becomes smoother and faster. So I see you just massively taking off into this huge level of growth and success. Now, maybe you're already beginning to feel that shift, to feel that momentum as you push through this barrier. But I'm getting that for many of you listening, it feels like although you have a sense of that, or even if you're seeing evidence of that, you haven't fully moved to a place where that resistance is gone yet. You're still feeling it again, whether that's internal resistance or people resisting you, external resistance, people or energies projecting onto you in some way. But what I keep getting is once you break through this barrier, this invisible wall, things operate for you in a different way. Things are more free flowing. The flight is smoother, so to speak. You begin to see things moving and growing in almost like this exponential fashion that you haven't seen in the past. What my guides were also telling me is for a while, you kept approaching this sound barrier or this fear barrier almost in a curious way. Like, what is this? Is this really a wall or is it an invisible wall? What's on the other side of this? Almost like sniffing it out, kind of hesitantly checking out this sound barrier, this fear barrier, maybe touching it every once in a while, approaching it, maybe even at times beginning to push through it and then pulling back. I don't know if this is significant, but you guys know I've been taking a lot of notes while I've been meditating and journaling in the mornings, and then I've been using those notes as a sort of groundwork for these reading videos recently. That's been a major shift in my content, really just mostly in the last week. And I don't know if I'll continue feeling guided to do that, but that's just really how I felt guided at this time. But the thing that may or may not be significant is today, I actually started at the end of my notes and worked backwards. So it's like I had been journaling all the way to the point of journaling this information about the so-called fear barrier, equivalent to the actual phenomenon of the sound barrier. That was the last thing I journaled about. And now it's like things are coming full circle. I'm working my way back now, back to kind of integrate the beginning into that realization. So I don't know if for some of you listening, there could be this feeling in your life of beginning to work backwards somehow. We've talked a lot about how you at this time are integrating past versions of yourself, past timelines. And in a previous reading, I also talked about how this goes often in layers, sometimes even chronologically, although that doesn't have to always be the case, but often you will feel like things from a few years ago are coming up, and then from 5 years ago, 8 years ago, 10 years ago, and so on and so forth, until you reach this kind of core timeline, this base level place where all of those past fragmented timelines are integrated and brought back into this state of wholeness. But I kept getting something about 10 years, specifically in this reading. This may just connect with a few people, but my guides were calling this a 10-year redemption arc. Now, I don't know why they were using that wording, because I don't feel like you're redeeming yourself from anything that you did wrong, so to speak. In fact, I know it's not that, but I feel like maybe 10 years ago, something occurred in your life that set you off onto a specific trajectory. And it's almost like now everything is beginning to come full circle. Now, for others of you, this may actually mean that you may notice flashbacks to 10 years ago. You may notice people that would have been around you or close to you or associated with you 10 years ago coming back up. You also might notice internal patterns that resonate with that version of you from 10 years ago, surfacing from within yourself. For some reason, I was also seeing a graduation. So maybe this is literal. Maybe 10 years ago, you graduated from something, or you moved from one place to another, or maybe that's happening for you now spiritually, where spiritually you're graduating to some kind of new level. And just like when we graduate high school, or if you go to college and graduate college, there's always this sense of nostalgia at that graduation point where you're kind of looking back at where you came from. I remember at my high school graduation, there was always a lot of nostalgia built up around our kindergarten version of self, the self that started this process of schooling. And so maybe this concept of graduation is more about you spiritually graduating to a new level and now feeling something coming full circle in a way that may even be bringing up emotions or actually making you feel a little bit nostalgic. Now, for some reason, I'm hearing back to the beginning. So this is my signal to start all the way back to the beginning of my notes in my journal and to really work my way from there. So I'm going to be doing that. But also, before I forget to mention this, I mentioned in my last video that because of the shifts that we've been going through in this collective, and actually because of what had been inspired from that exact video, I decided to make a new subliminal on my app called Quantum Connection. And I said I would let you know once it's available. I did update that comment to say that it's available now, but in case you didn't see the comment, that Subliminal is live in the Sound and Soulful app. So if you already have the app, you can search it by using the search feature and just looking up Quantum Connection. If you don't yet have the app, I'll leave a download link for it in the pinned comment and also in the description box underneath this video. But the reason I wanted to bring this up is because I just started meditating with this specific subliminal I've created just yesterday. I'm getting a wave of chills. I have to tell you, I have seen some crazy results using this subliminal, even just one day. So I'm really excited to keep using it because really what I designed it for isn't actually reflective of the kind of effect that I'm already noticing it have in my life. And that's why I wanted to share about this and kind of share this journey, because the reason I created it actually was to help you specifically connect with a particular person in the quantum realm that you desire to build a deeper connection with. And although it can be used for that purpose, what I noticed meditating with it is a completely unexpected byproduct, or really many byproducts, around how I'm now noticing myself in my physical world aligning with, well, what my guides would call the right people, not in terms of morally right or wrong, but people who are actually more deeply connected, authentically connected to my frequency and to my heart, emotionally connected to me in some way. And I am telling you, I noticed this within 24 hours. I was actually running into people who are connected with my past or connected with my heart in a positive way. And I wasn't even going out that much, meaning I just went to get coffee and to go to the store and the gas station and out to dinner with family. And just in those few interactions, I was already feeling myself more connected with the people around me in this more heartfelt, authentic way, but also actually running into a few people that are personally connected to me, or again, to my past in a positive way. It just felt like a very healing experience is the best way I can describe it, feeling like everything in your world is becoming more connected to your heart. And that's the best way I can describe what I've started noticing, listening to and meditating with this subliminal, again, even just one day. So I am very excited to see where this goes. I wanted to share that with you. I also want to know if you've already started using it. Have you seen or noticed any shifts within yourself or externally? You can feel free to share that with me in the comments if you do feel any shifts that you want to share. But also, again, if you've not tried it out yet and you don't yet have the app, then I will be leaving a download link for it underneath the video. That will be in the pinned comment, so my top comment under this video, and also in the description box. And you can try it free when you create a free trial account in the app. So I wanted to share that. And also now I'm going to be shifting all the way to the beginning of my notes in my journal. Well, I should say the beginning of my notes for today, because frankly, I'm not sure if I'm feeling guided to go all the way back into previous days, but I think I am. I think I'm going to do that for tomorrow's collective reading. I know that so many of you were deeply connecting with the last reading I did, which was actually a love reading. And we talked about this. I mean, this was a very emotionally charged love reading. I felt emotional just channeling it. And it was about how someone on another timeline is thinking about you. I am starting to tear up again just thinking about that reading because there was so much emotion attached to it. And you guys who connected with that reading will know what I'm talking about. But if that is already kind of resonating for you and you haven't yet listened to that, I would really recommend checking it out. It was the previous reading just right before this one. And it was called Someone is on Another Timeline Thinking About You, or something along those lines. I can't remember the exact title, but the reason I brought that up is because I told you in that reading, there were many, many pages of notes from my journal that were not really related to that situation necessarily, but that I hadn't shared in that video because that thread of energy just came up so strongly and urgently. And I know that many of you requested seeing the rest of my notes or hearing a video about the rest of my notes. Well, my guides are saying maybe it's more connected than you realize. So maybe I'm wrong in saying that it's not connected to that love reading, because I had that section of my notes kind of segmented off because it seemed like its own thread. But my guides are saying my other notes actually are more connected to that situation, just in a more abstract kind of bird's eye view way that I may consciously realize. So that might be my sign of confirmation. You can look for that in the next reading that I post, which will be tomorrow's collective reading, where we do a really thorough deep dive. I'll be going back into everything from the last few days of channeled notes and messages that I didn't touch on in these other reading videos. So stay tuned for that. And of course, if you haven't yet, I invite you to subscribe if you feel guided to it. If you want to stay connected here with our beautiful high vibrational community on YouTube. And thank you for being here. Thank you for co-creating with me. I have felt within myself and within this collective so many powerful shifts taking place. We really are breaking through that sound barrier, that fear barrier that was always artificial anyway. It was always just an invisible wall, not an actual wall. And I feel like that in itself is a message that something you thought was actually a wall or was actually a barrier was never truly tangible. It was never really real. I mean, yes, breaking through it, just like moving through a sound barrier, would create this resistance that would have this effect on you that might even bring up some turbulence within you emotionally or trigger some reactions from others. But the wall wasn't real in the sense that you could push through it. You could push through it. And that's what I see you doing now. And that's why I'm picking up on all of these powerful shifts, because I'm getting something is happening for you now that's never happened before, which is you are you are right in the thick of this fear barrier, and you've approached it before, but you've never allowed yourself to fully go through it. But now you are. It's like now you are not turning back. You are holding a line. Well, let's talk about holding a line a little bit, because this has been coming up a lot. This concept that you are holding some kind of line. And I really saw it almost like holding a line in battle, symbolically speaking. It feels as though people around you are, or maybe not people, there may be forces, things, people that are energetically triggered just by you showing up in a space, making something clear, being present. I'm hearing being available or creating something, just your presence or your existence, your persistence in a space or a place or on a vision or whatever this is. It feels like that alone is triggering this fight from people or forces or things around you that I'm representing as this battle, but it's happening invisibly. And it may even be happening within yourself because you're very intuitive. So when people react to you energetically in negative ways because of what your presence is exposing within them, you can actually intuitively feel that within yourself. And what my guides have been saying is that it's so much less about about the physical action than you realize. Yes, there are inspired actions, steps involved with what you're doing, of course, but it's more about your consistency than the actions themselves. What I mean is, well, this reminds me of my video, 1 year of not shutting it all down. It's about not backtracking. It's about holding a line. It's about not shutting it all down. It's about showing up consistently, being present in a space or a place or a kind of industry, consistently refusing to quit. It's that resilience. It's that determination to hold that line more than it is the actions themselves. Because what keeps coming up is that some days it may take all of your energy just to allow yourself to rest, to recalibrate, to recenter yourself, and to keep holding that line energetically, in the sense that you don't shut everything down. You don't completely just, I see someone throwing away like crumpled pieces of paper. Like, you don't just take everything you've written, maybe literally, maybe symbolically, and throw it in the trash. No, you maybe put the book on the shelf for a while. Again, this could be symbolic or literal. Maybe you are a writer in some sense, but you put it on the shelf for a while if you need to. This is reminding me of something that came through. Set boundaries with your own fear. Meaning, if you feel the fear starting to overpower you and you're getting that urge, that fear urge to shut everything down, maybe turn off your phone or turn off your computer or put away that project for a while, but don't quit it. Don't stop it. Just allow it to rest. Allow yourself to rest. That is holding the line. And some days that will require all of your energy, setting those boundaries with your own fear, recalibrating yourself, recentering yourself, not quitting it altogether. That might take every ounce of energy that you have in some days. And that would be a successful day. Because again, it's not about this formula, this concrete system of specific actions that you have to do all the time. It's about you holding a line energetically, you not giving up, you consistently being present, consistently showing up. And I kept hearing like leaving some kind of channel of energy open that is deeply connected to your heart, but also that at times triggers this fear, which again, a lot of times is just projected fear from people around you. So maybe this is you keeping some kind of creative profile online available, or keeping your business open, or keeping your heart open. I just feel like there's something about holding the line by keeping some kind of open channel that connects with your heart, that fills you with passion, but also sometimes triggers this fear. When you're feeling both passion and fear, you can know to trust the passion over the fear. And when you trust the passion over the fear, one step at a time, one day at a time, one moment at a time, sometimes if that's all you can do, you will find that it will build a kind of momentum. And my guides were saying this momentum is something that you're building energetically, but it's going to show up physically and in a tangible, visible way, not just visible to you, but visible to the people around you. But again, you have to know that it's so much more about a line you are holding energetically, a momentum you are building energetically, and less about fixating on a series or system of physical action steps that you are taking. Allow those actions to be inspired and to flow naturally when you are connected to your heart. I'm hearing connect to your heart first, whether that means first thing in the day, whether that means before you create, before you do something specific. Maybe take that moment to really ask yourself, how can I connect with my heart in this moment? And I'm hearing even just asking yourself throughout the day can be so powerful. Asking yourself, what is my heart saying right now? How can I open my heart right now? No matter what you're doing, no matter where you are, no matter how mundane it feels, how can I connect with my heart more in this moment? And practicing that during the day, no matter what you're doing, can actually be really powerful, because as we've been channeling and talking about recently, that heart chakra energy is so much more powerful than any other chakra center. It's so much more powerful than the mind. And this is reminding me of something that came up in my notes as well, which is if something, a dream, a vision, an idea doesn't give you passion, it doesn't give you energy, it doesn't connect with you emotionally, it doesn't give you goosebumps, it's not for you. if it doesn't connect with your heart, it's not for you. Use your heart as the filter for what is meant for you and what isn't, especially at this time when it comes to the visions, the dreams that you are building. Because what you're going to find, and I'm hearing, allow yourself to dream nonsensical dreams. Allow yourself to feel into that place where you are imagining or daydreaming or visioning things almost like a child would. It's like a childlike state of being, but it's powerful because unlike a child, you have all of this experience, wisdom, tools, resources to actually manifest those dreams into reality. But allow yourself to tap into that almost childlike state of daydreaming where you are imagining scenarios or conversations or things, not necessarily because they're coming from a goal list or a concrete vision, but simply because they make you feel something. They connect with your heart. Once you connect with your heart, no matter how you got there, no matter what you imagined or what you said or what you did to get there, you've won. And I now am about to share the very first line that came out in my journal because, again, we kind of came full circle and now we're starting back at the beginning. Ooh, maybe that's a message for someone. Maybe something in your life is coming full circle and now starting back at the beginning. Interesting. But the message that I wrote down is your life is about to become pure magic. And maybe you're feeling this. Maybe this is what happens as you keep having the courage to break through that invisible wall, that fear barrier. But I also wrote, many people around you in the quantum field are waking up. And my guides described these people or energies as having been dormant, almost walking around in this sleep-like state where they're going through the motions in their life, but not quite fully living. And being in your presence, you are this, I'm getting chills just channeling into your effect on other people, but you are an activator. That's a word that came through very specifically, and it's actually been coming through a lot recently for you. You are an activator, which means people cannot stay spiritually or emotionally asleep, dormant in your presence. When they are around you, you literally touch right to their heart. And I'm talking, I literally see someone walking into a public place and people are looking at you because they're like, who are you? Which, by the way, I did write in my notes in all capital letters, who are you, with question marks, because I'm getting that's the reaction you generate from others because they can sense subconsciously, well, many things about you. And we'll get into more of those things because it's more than this. But part of it is that they can't stay emotionally asleep, emotionally dormant in your presence. You are going to trigger a reaction. And that's why sometimes that reaction is negative because people cannot non-react to your energy. You are this powerful beacon of light. You are like this nuclear reactor of energy. People are going to have a reaction to you. That's why sometimes you are so polarizing because you are an activator. You activate people's heart spaces. Now, I also wrote down, because of the way people react to you, because you are this activator, this plays into that invisible wall, that so-called fear barrier that you're now moving through. You're very intuitive. So your whole life, you've sensed that when you start to really tap into this power, this activating power within you, which I keep getting that the more you break through your own personal fear barrier, the more of an activator you become, the more clearly you reach and powerfully you touch other people's hearts. It's like your personal journey of breaking through your own fears actually causes you to have an amplified activating effect on the people and things around you. So because you've sensed this at times in the past, because again, you're very intuitive, so you feel other people's reactions to you, you may have pulled back because, well, I actually wrote down the quote, wait, what is this reaction? Like you would see these reactions from people around you and think, am I doing something wrong by putting myself out there powerfully, by sharing my voice or sharing my truth or breaking through my personal fear barrier? Because somehow this seems to create this effect. I keep seeing this cell tower or something. It's like you are this tower of energy just beaming this signal, and that signal gets stronger when you're walking that path yourself, as you are now, by the way. And people are feeling it, people are reacting to it. And in the past, these reactions that you felt intuitively would have made you pull back. But I wrote down, not this time, not this time. And my guides really emphasize that line, that you know it in your soul. That's why you're here. That's why you found this video, because you've already resolved within yourself that this time triggered reactions of fear from other people are not going to hold you back from breaking through that sound barrier of your life. You've already decided that. You've held that resolve within yourself. And maybe this video is just meant to be a confirmation of that decision that you've already made, that decision to hold the line, that decision to break through that fear barrier in your life. And I hope that through this channel, I can inspire you to keep going along that pathway. So this actually feels like a complete thought, but we've not even scratched the surface, once again, of so many notes here. This just feels like a really beautiful, powerful, complete thought here in the message. So I want to close this video here, but this will not by any means be the end of this channeling. There's going to be a lot more coming. I'm going to be channeling a ton of information for tomorrow's collective reading, so stay tuned for that. Again, subscribe if you haven't yet and you do want to stay connected here and stay notified on those new downloads, those new pieces of information coming through really almost on a daily basis now. I've been in the mode of posting almost daily recently, so I hope you've been enjoying the more frequent uploads and also this shift in style of reading as well. It's felt really aligned with the shift that we are experiencing collectively. So thank you for the massively powerful and important part that you play in that shift happening, not just here in our collective virtually on YouTube, but on the planet. Because there's so much more I want to say. I just remembered something. I know I was closing out this video, but there's something else I have to say, because this is so connected to the thought that came up here, to everything, to your impact. Maybe it was meant to come out at the end of the reading. Maybe just a select few of you stayed to the end of the reading and you are the ones who specifically need to hear this. Okay, but you have such a huge impact on a segment of the collective. For some of you, I was getting, this is a city, like your local city, your area. This could be your neighborhood, your community. This also could be a collective that isn't regionally or geographically based. So they could be based all over the world, but they all are part of a certain group or part of a certain cause. But the words that came through from my guides about you is you are almost like this patron saint energy. So basically, you being part of this collective, which that didn't even feel fully accurate. You're not just part of this segment of the collective. You're actually the activator for that collective. You are like the generator, the fuel that keeps that collective going somehow on some level. And this is all happening in the quantum realm. But once again, with those words, patron saint, I really wanted to tie that in specifically to you. So I looked up a definition that I feel will really strike a chord with you like it did with me. And a patron saint is regarded as a special protector or a mediator / advocate for a particular person, group, or cause. And then what I wrote in my notes is your presence is a blessing to many others. You are doing this for a collective and they seem to be recognizing it on a subconscious level. And that's very important because that connects with that message like, who are you? Who are you? You generate that reaction from people around you, especially people who are connected to this specific segment of the collective that you are almost acting as this mediator for. Again, I'm calling you like a patron saint here just because you are someone who is so divinely connected and so connected to your own heart that you activate the heart spaces of people and things connected to you, but I'm getting it's even more specific and personal than that for you. Like there is a very specific cause, a specific group of people, a place, maybe it's a work environment, a community, a family. I feel like there's something, a specific segment of the collective that you are acting as this kind of patron saint energy for. And what I also wrote down is you have an aura around you right now that no one else has in your physical vicinity, which I know sounds a little bit out there. I don't mean this at all in an egotistical way. I mean this, I'm hearing, so you recognize the rarity of your energy and the sacredness of your path. And I'm saying this because you are meant to be recognizing the sacredness of your own path in a more conscious way and valuing it in that way, seeing the importance of you taking that next step forward, not just for you, but seeing how that personal journey of breaking through this invisible wall in your own life is so connected to a whole collective of people as well. So I really am going to be closing the reading for real. If you made it to that final message, by the way, I actually feel not everyone will make it to that point in the reading because, of course, I was going into the closing remarks. So that in itself is a sign. If you made it here, you were one of the select people who was meant to hear this very specific message right here at the end, kind of hidden here. So okay, I'm going to really close out this reading. Again, there's so much more to share. I'm really, really thrilled to be sharing this journey with all of you. Thank you again. I would love to hear from you in the comments if you do want to share any aspect of your journey or any insight or wisdom that you've gleaned from your personal journey with our community here. You can also follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is @magnetizeyourself. You can join YouTube memberships if you want to access the extended readings that I do 3 times per week just for that community, or they're also available on Patreon as well. And as I mentioned earlier in the reading, I am in the process of creating more subliminals for my app, Sound and Soulful. I actually want to do a series of subliminals. There may be 3 or 4 of them that are all kind of in this quantum series. So because the quantum connection subliminal has been so powerful for me, I want to also add subliminals in the future for quantum healing, quantum shift, and there was one more that I wrote down here as well because I was really channeling through this. Yeah, quantum shift, quantum connection, and then we already have quantum connection, and then I want to do maybe quantum shift and quantum healing. Those are the other 2. So I might do a series of like 3 of these total because I've felt so much power just tapping in directly to that quantum space where we're all connected. And again, you can download the app if you don't have it yet by clicking the link that I'll leave underneath this video, or you can also search it directly. It's available in the Apple App Store and Google Play Store, and you can search for Sound and Soulful to find it there. But otherwise, I am closing this reading here. I know I've said that about 4 times, but really this is the end of the video. Thank you again for being here. Thank you for sharing your powerful energy, your light, and I will connect with you here again in the next video.